I do want to talk now about some news that broke last week, but you actually predicted it a month ago on this segment, and that was that the Knives Out 2 is Glass Onion will be getting a limited theatrical release. Which it is, but it's on Thanksgiving weekend, and you called that a Trojan horse. Can you explain that?
Well, I was kind of pissed that they did that. And again, we're not dealing about right and wrong, good and evil here. But there's not much coming out between late October and Christmas, except for a few blockbusters. Wakanda Forever on November 11th, uh, Strange World, and Steven Spielberg's The Fablemans on Thanksgiving weekend, along with Sony's Devotion, which is a Korean War fighter pilot drama starring Jonathan Majors and Glenn Powell. And something else that I'm forgetting. Spielberg's The Fablemans, Strange World, Devotion. I'm sure I'm forgetting something else on a very crowded Thanksgiving weekend. And then there's basically nothing until Avatar: The Way of Water on December 16th. So where does Netflix put Knives Out for its 1 week only box office really doesn't matter theatrical release? Thanksgiving weekend, the one weekend where a bunch of studios are putting their specifically for theaters movies into release. Now, is it an intentional way to spike the punch, so to speak? Maybe, but it's not cool. They could have put it out on early November. It would be unopposed. They could have put it out the weekend after Black Panther. It would have been mostly unopposed. Yeah, probably would have gotten slammed by Black Panther, but again, they're not doing this to make money in theaters. They're doing this to appease Rian Johnson, who wanted a theatrical release, though I think he wanted a more conventional theatrical release, but I digress. Again, right or wrong, I would have taken the money too. And it's a way to implicitly qualify the film for Oscar consideration, because the first one was, I mean, I don't think it got any huge Oscar nominations other than Best Original Screenplay, but it certainly was in the running that year. And this film is supposed to be as good, if not better. I have not seen it yet. I'll see it when it starts screening for theatrical press in LA, which is probably, fingers crossed, early October or early November. And the big news, if you want to call it that, is that this is the first time that a Netflix film will be playing not just in Cinemark theater chains, where they've been doing that for 2 years, but also AMC and Regal chains. But the twist is that it's only playing in 600 theaters total, which, there have been, Netflix movies like, Army of the Dead that played in, 600 theaters for a week, mostly Cinemark, without even touching AMC or Regal. So it's sort of like trying to be a trendsetter, but not, if that makes sense. It's rebellious and conformist sort of way. It's still Netflix trying to get full credit for doing half the work. Again, that's not a good and evil judgment, because it's only going to be in theaters for a week, which is neat. They're selling it as sort of a sneak preview thing, because it comes out in theaters on November 23rd, plays for a week, and then it goes on to Netflix on December 23rd. So they're able to say, oh yeah, we were in theaters, we were in a wide national theatrical release, we played along, but
But not
not
really.
really.
Um, do you think people are going to show up if they know that they could see this with a Netflix subscription free a month later and there's already a crowded box office that week?
Um, a firm maybe. And I know that's not helpful, but Netflix has never done this before. And by what I mean is, I'm assuming they're going to spend money relative to a conventional marketing campaign for theatrical release. And that's always been sort of the stickler. It's not just the theatrical windows that Netflix doesn't particularly want to play ball with. It's that you have to spend money to open a movie in theaters. It's what was that was the big news when Bros bombed last weekend. It wasn't that, oh no, this $22 million movie bombed. Is that Universal did the work and put a $30 million marketing campaign behind it. And we've never seen what Netflix can do with a marketing campaign that is more than just, it's on the homepage on Friday morning. And to be fair, that works. That works for them. I mean, you always hear online or you read online or hear wherever on Twitter or whatever, like, oh, this movie comes out in 4 days. Why is there no marketing for it? Well, no one's ever heard of it. But, dollars to donuts, it pops up on their home screen on the front page on Friday morning, and it's their most watched movie and gets anywhere from 25 to 45 million hours viewed globally, or maybe a lot more, depending on what the movie is. I mean, did you watch Mila Kunis's The Luckiest Girl Alive this weekend?
No, because I'm reading the book now, so I wanted to read the book first and then watch it. But I'm halfway done.
Did you know it was coming out before this weekend?
Yes, because a podcast that I listened to did a movie review of it.
You're not helping me at all.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'll bring this up for a different project. But yeah, generally speaking,
that type of thing was right up my alley.
rigorously pay attention to this stuff, you don't know when a big new movie is dropping on Netflix.
I will,
and that's fine. It works for them. But if they want conventional theatrical success, they need to spend the money. And A, we don't know, we've never seen them spend that money. B, we've never seen the results of them spending that money. So to answer your question, I'd like to think people would show up because again, Knives Out was it was an entirely original, star-driven, director-driven, vaguely adult skewing. I mean, it's PG-13, but it's fine for kids. Murder mystery movies that did 300 million worldwide on a 40 budget. If the fact that Netflix isn't, just doing an old school theatrical release with even like a 45-day window in, COVID times, they wouldn't even have to agree to 90 days anymore. It's that they don't want to.
So let's say you were in charge of this release. What would you do? Obviously not release it on Thanksgiving week, but what else?
The caveat that it's not my money, which is always a very important distinction when I'm talking about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my money on the line. I'm a Monday morning quarterback. But anyway, I would say you have the IP, you have the brand, you have the reviews, you probably are going to have the buzz. I say you treat it like a normal theatrical movie, give it 45 days. You release it in early November and you spend the money and you let the chips fall where they may. And is it possible that the film severely underwhelms theatrically compared to how it might have done if it was a Lionsgate theatrical release over Thanksgiving weekend? Yes. And while that does kind of hang the ring of failure around it, for no good reason, I think we've seen with Lightyear and other theatricals that a theatrical box office bomb does not impact that film's ability to be a high volume, high trafficked streaming fixture. Mm-hmm. So even if it bombs on theaters, it's not going to bomb on streaming, I would argue.
Well, Netflix, you heard it here first.